A-level comics of like, the A-level of the A-level. Like, dude, you're 100% spot on. I'm like, why don't you like the tweet then? Oh, I can't. He's opening for me in Temecula.
Welcome to Building Friendships. We are here again. I'm your host, John Sosis. I had to remember my name for a second. We have another very special guest, one of my favorite people, as always. The one and only. He's a comedian. He's an actor. He's a podcaster. We did a podcast together, wrestling podcast together. The one and only EARL SKAKEL.
I mean, it was the little podcast that could.
We got a lot done. You guys crushed it.
This is serious. Every time I watch AEW, which is WWE's competition, for those of you not knowing what AEW is. We had this person on as a guest. We had that person on as a guest. Like, we got big guests,
Yeah. Well, you guys, I would say, we'll get to that in a second.
Eddie got the guest in all.
Well, you did too, because you and Eddie went to those shows. You sat through some shows I would not sit through. As soon as I hear there's a guy who dresses like Ronald McDonald.
Dirty Ron McDonald.
I'm out. And then there's a faction of Trump supporter, like a Trump supporting I'm kind of out.
I mean, we're talking about the great XPW that is not even allowed in Pomona anymore. They got kicked out of the venue. Do you know how bad you have to be as a company to get kicked out of a venue in Pomona? But so now they are homeless in LA. So
we had a pretty solid run. I think it was oversaturated. But the sets we're doing today, I'm going to finish up the set I started with Mark Maron. I'm going to be doing the Haunted Mansion. We're recording in a haunted building, so there we go. And then EARL SKAKEL. I got him the Batwing from the 1989 Batman. Do you know why I got this for you? Because
Michael Keaton, Comedy Store paid regular?
No.
Let me see. I don't. I'm trying. It's been a hot minute. That was the one with Michael Keaton, right?
Yes.
Who is my favorite Batman?
He's probably first or second for me, yeah.
Well, who are the Batmans? I know I probably should be putting this together, but I know it's not going to happen.
We can start.
No, I know. It doesn't matter when I start. You got Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, and Robert Pattinson. See, I don't even remember him.
I didn't Ben Affleck, yeah. There's a lot of Batmen.
And then, of course, Adam West, the OG, who I also like because he kind of played slightly gay. Like, if you look back at the, I think I got my first piece. If you go back and look at the original Batman, there's some very gay overtones to that.
I mean, the costumes.
The costumes, him and Robin's relationship was a bit weird.
It was a little bit off.
And Alfred the Butler, kind of like pre-Sandusky, some creepy old guy in a basement. So why I'm trying to.
Okay, here's the deal. Can you now look me in the eye and confirm if you are stand-up Batman?
Oh my God. No, and I can show you. Should I explain who that is?
Explain it.
That's funny. Now I get it. I thought, was there a wrestler in Batman that I'm not? Who was a bad guy? If you go on Twitter, now this could be the ultimate rube that I'm plugging my own site. And Kyle Anderson, who has made some interesting documentaries. You'll have to do your own research there, because I'm too close to the bone on some of them. He's doing a documentary on who is stand-up Batman. Now, stand-up Batman is an unknown figure in the comedy community. Nobody knows who they are. And I guess if you're familiar with the political website, the Drudge Report, Matt Drudge comments on politics. He has sources everywhere. Bartenders at, bars where politicians hang out, and that's stand-up Batman. He's got sources everywhere. It could be a woman, but everyone thinks it's me because of the tone that it's written in. By the way, I have done one piece, The Batman's Head.
I mean, okay, we need to be a little bit more specific, and I have it right here. So stand-up Batman basically takes shots at stand-up comics. So his bio is, I'm the hero the world of stand-up comedy deserves and the one it needs.
They are like a spy on the LA comedy scene. They talk all things Comedy Store, which people always associate me with the most. But they also talk a lot about Orange County comics, which is a red flag that it's not me, because I don't really do comedy in Orange County. I technically don't really do comedy past La Cienega, in between Doheny. But I'm okay, you know. People give me a lot of shit saying, oh, you only play the Comedy Store. Well, it's the #1 club in the world. That's not really a slam if you think about it. Like if I was only playing the Comedy Chateau, then you might have a little more wiggle room. Shout out to Roy, the owner. Couldn't get booked anywhere in the city. Just said, fuck it, I'm going to buy my own club. That's how you do it. So Stand-Up Batman is very sarcastic, acerbic, takes shots at everyone. But this is the #1 clue as to why it's not me. I might start going rogue and just start putting random pieces together.
We've seen that before.
That's how I do it. Takes very few shots at roast battle, which you would think I would make it the #1 subject. Takes very few shots at people associated with the show. I'm on a gag order, so I can't really say anything.
Your gag order is getting me in trouble because I'm friends with you.
But no, I haven't said anything. I've been very good in that regard.
You have? No, it still hasn't changed.
Well, I mean, I still believe everything I've said. And
you're just not saying it anymore.
Yeah, I just, I
That's
like...
respectable.
I like my stage time here. So, if I was in more power in the comedy world, I probably wouldn't stop. But, so I feel a little, all right, that's my second piece. I feel a bit of a pussy in terms of that, but...
People here like to just be dramatic about everything.
Oh, it thrives on rumors and...
It's crazy to me.
So people still think it's me because...
I think it's you. I still think it's you.
I keep it real, and I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, dude, we can't agree with you online, like publicly, but we agree with everything you're saying.
Is that weird and annoying?
It is, because it's like sack up. It's not like I'm... That's
what it is. It's like sack up.
I just think that I'm like the ultimate warrior, where if you look at his final interviews, what they call in the business shoot interviews, is that, oh, he's insane. He's talking all this shit. He's just a bitter old man. And that's what people say about me. And then I know when I die and people look back at my interviews and go, he was telling the truth on everything.
Yeah.
Like his one video he did on Hulk Hogan where he interviews himself for an hour. I'm trying to find his feet. What is this, Kamala? I can't find his legs anywhere. He's talking all this stuff about what a whore Hulk Hogan's wife is and what an idiot Hulk Hogan was. And then when he dies, people are like, yeah, he was right. We couldn't say it at the time, but like Jim was right. And when pro wrestlers call each other by their real name, which is a little weird because his real name was Warrior. So there's some, like I knew a buddy who...
Well, the only reason he did that is because he was going to lose it to WWF.
But kind of genius though. Like most people go, what a moron. He changed his name to Warrior, but then he could use it on t-shirts and stuff. And Vince McMahon could do nothing.
Nope.
So with me, people like those 2 videos that we made that we had to put down.
We had to put down.
The first one, I literally got 100 messages from people associated with Roast Battle, and other people like, dude, this should be required viewing for anyone.
Well, that's so
because it was truthful.
When the gag order was first issued, the Roast Battle things were not you intentionally attacking Roast Battle. You were getting DMs with people challenging you.
Yes.
That's what people don't understand. It wasn't you just saying, Roast Battle people are my target now.
100%.
It was them DMing you, wanting to challenge you to a Roast Battle.
So do you really think I'm going to make a video if I want to battle again? No, I'm going to call Moses. I'm going to say, listen, this is who I'd like to battle, and I'm the main event, not Guam against some open micer. Guam's out of control on that show right now. I can't find his legs, man. This might be all I do. I gotta be honest. This is like, I don't know I don't even see yellow parts in the instructions. Even with the Piven tweets, which I haven't done in probably a year, people still talk about them because everyone's big comics too. I'm not gonna blow up anyone's spots, but A-level comics of like the A level of the A level. Like, dude, you're 100% spot on. I'm like, why don't you like the tweet then? Oh, I can't. He's opening for me in Temecula.
But that at least you understand why people would think you are stand-up Batman.
I once did a psychoanalysis of who stand-up Batman is with an ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
And we broke it down because a lot of their early tweets were about female comics. So I would say they are a bit misogynistic, which I don't think I am. On stage, I'm a bit of a buffoon, but it's part of the character. And they are bitter, I think, a little bitter about maybe lack of progress in their own career. I think I just found his legs. I did. I'm losing his arms. Those are his legs. All right, so I've got a full Batman.
We're making progress.
Not really. So, that's why I'm not stand-up Batman. I put my own name behind what I say.
I mean, I'm looking at stand-up Batman, and he's not holding back at all. I think there's some wording in there that I would say is EARL SKAKEL wording. So
yeah, read me one of his tweets.
I mean, the most recent one is Neil Brennan's jokes aren't smart. He just wears glasses and you were dumb.
See, I love Neil Brennan, and that's not me cucking to Neil Brennan.
Well, the whole point would be if you like Neil Brennan but wanted to say so. But
right, if you want to say something on the DL.
Then this one's Bert Kreischer. This is the crowd eagerly awaiting a speech, and it's a picture of Bert Kreischer, and then he goes, "When I was 22, I got involved with the Russian mafia." So, like, the eagerly awaiting a speech is the type of sarcasm I would expect from EARL SKAKEL.
But I'm getting this together now, I think. Ooh, yes, I am. Ooh.
What came first for you? Was it acting or stand-up?
Let me see. Well, really, commercial acting. This shows you the wacky world. I'm kind of stalling out now after this one piece. In 1988, I was playing hockey at the Culver City Ice Arena. And it was the wildest group of guys you've ever seen. O.J. Simpson's Mailman, Rocky George, who, if you follow heavy metal, is the guitar player in Suicidal Tendencies. And he was missing a fingertip, but he's still thought of as one of the great, I guess you'd say, not punk, what is Suicidal Tendencies? Thrash, early Metallica style.
Headbanger?
I like Metallica looked up to Suicidal Tendencies. So that, and he was telling me about this new band called Guns N' Roses. He said, "Oh, dude, they're going to be the biggest thing." I was just in the studio with them, and they're doing this album called Appetite for Instruction, and it was Destruction. And I'm like, dude, you got to check out this band, Britney Fox. They look like four gay pirates. They had like one big hit, and then they didn't have one big hit. And so that shows you where my mindset was. So one day, this casting director comes down. My friend looked just like Wayne Gretzky. It was frightening. A 20-year-old Wayne Gretzky. And he's like, "Do you want to come down for this commercial tomorrow?" He's like, yeah. And then the guy looks at me and goes, "You can come too if you want." And I'm like, "I'm not an actor." He's like, "Don't worry about it. Just come and sit with your friend." So my friend goes in, and then the casting director looks at me and goes, "Do you want to audition?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And "Do you have any ice hockey experience?" And I didn't. I could barely skate, which is why they had me playing Sunday nights, because I was like literally a pylon. I could not move. I was like, what's the Sandler character? I was Happy Gilmore and Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks. I had a hard shot, but I couldn't skate. So I lied to him because I wanted the commercial. So I said, "Yeah, I play the New York Rangers farm team." He's like, "Who?" Because I'm like Rain Man with hockey. So I'm like, "Oh, Binghamton Rangers." And the guy's like, "Who's your coach?" And like he was testing me. I'm like, "Robbie Fatorik." Who are your line mates? Oh, it was Ray Ferraro and Ed Kostelic, who both played on the Binghamton Rangers that year. So I got the lead in the commercial.
Oh, Jesus.
Like the lead. I was the focal point. So we get to the ice skating rink I don't know if it was the next day, but a week later. And the whole premise of the commercial is, it's a Pepsi commercial. The whole team is drinking Coke. And then in the locker room, I drink a Pepsi and I get like superpowers. And I'm like the Wayne Gretzky of the commercial. So it was quite obvious from the time I walked onto the ice, and I said walked onto the ice, not skated, that had not played pro hockey. I hadn't even played like pickup hockey. But it was too late. They had to make me the star of the commercial.
Were you still a huge hockey fan at that point?
Oh, yeah. This is the year Wayne Gretzky got traded to the LA Kings. And that is a big, okay, I got to turn this around. Okay, I'm getting this now. That was a big deal. It was, and it just happened. I think the anniversary of the trade was, I think, a couple days ago. Now, I don't want to turn this into a hockey podcast, but you have to understand, Gretzky coming to the Kings did so much. Nothing's ever been done to a sport like that because of him, we got the Anaheim Ducks, the San Jose Sharks, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Carolina Hurricanes, all because Gretzky proved hockey can work in a non-traditional hockey market. So I got the commercial.
Is hockey different in terms of like, I don't know how New York would react if Tom Brady ended up in New York after beating the shit out of them for 15 years.
They would love it.
Because I mean, we're seeing them be okay with Aaron Rodgers right now. Is hockey like that, where you guys just didn't think twice about the fact that he just came from creating a legend for himself somewhere else?
Well, it was, but you got to understand. I think I'm getting this now. Gretzky. The records he set will never be broken. There's one record that might be broken by the grade 8, Alexander Ovechkin, who's, if he plays long enough, he will get Gretzky's goal record, which I think is 850 or something. To show you how great Gretzky was, you could take away all his goals. So imagine if Wayne Gretzky never scored a goal in his NHL career, and you just counted his assists. He would still be the all-time leading scorer.
Why do you think you're able to set? He was able to set those records.
It's a different era. It was jungle hockey back then.
Okay.
Like now, it's very much like football is now, where you barely touch a quarterback. It's a 15-yard flag.
That's what I was thinking, because the same thing with basketball. LeBron just spends the whole game throwing himself on the floor.
If you took LeBron, and he's a great player, I don't want to get too much into basketball talk, but if you put him in like the late 70s, early 80s, where you had guys like Lonnie Shelton and the Seattle Supersonics, who was basically a goon. He would go out and rough up Dr. J, and it was like, oh, this is acceptable. The Oilers of the 80s, they had this scam where they were faster than everyone. So it actually benefited them if there was less players on the ice. So what they would do is they would send their goon out, Dave Semenko usually. But they had
to get a penalty?
Not just to get a penalty, but to take off another player from the other team. So Semenko would
oh no,
because there was only one ref back then. Now there's two. But Semenko would punch a guy in the back of the head, and he'd do it on purpose. But he also would let the other guy punch him. So they both get taken off. So instead of 5-on-5 now, it's 4-on-4, and the Oilers 4-on-4 were just like a video game. So I get to turn the page now. I definitely will set the record for being the worst at this.
You've gotten further than 3 people so far.
Actually, I think I am getting this. Gretzky was just he just did things that no one's ever done before. I think he had 3 or 4 200-point seasons, which back then you had one guy who played on the Kings, ironically, Marcel Dion. I think his top season was 115. And you basically had someone come in and do double what he was doing. Like, it was absurd. So I get this commercial. I just want to remind the viewers they're not having a stroke. The original question was, what came first, stand-up or acting? Well, I had to go I'm a great guest because I talk a lot. You are a phenomenal guest. From this, not because of what I'm saying is so amazing, but this is all true. It's not like I'm doing shtick here. So by the time we start shooting, and mind you, the other hockey players were all professional players. Yeah. I was the only non-professional, but I had the right look, the Hanson brothers look. So the whole thing of the commercial was I take this huge hit in the corner, but I couldn't skate fast enough to get there in time. So they would have the producer push me right before the camera started rolling, and I did this backflip over this giant. And then the big scene in the locker room, I didn't drink soda at the time, so I didn't want to drink the Pepsi, so I would cover my hand up like this and fake drinking. And about 4 takes in, the producer, who's like this huge producer to this day, goes, "Drink the fucking Pepsi, it's what you're getting paid for." So then I drank the Pepsi.
Why weren't you drinking Pepsi?
I just didn't drink soda at the time.
Got it.
So, and the idiot next to me, when we got our per diem for the day, he was such a fucking hillbilly that he thought that's what we were getting paid for the commercial. I'm like, bro, this is just your food money. He's like, so that's how I started. And then I got my next commercial, a United Airlines commercial with Mike Singletary. So I thought this business was going to be easy. Do you know, it's unheard of. I might be the only actor in the history of commercials that booked their first 2 national commercials. I made about 50 grand that year, which was a lot of money back then. In '88, they weren't, paying much.
Yeah.
And so I thought, wow, this business, I've arrived. I'm going to be famous. And then I literally didn't get a call back for 15 years. I mean, so acting started, and then I started comedy when my friends who were all at William Morris and 3 Arts and Triad and ICM, they're like, dude, you're the funniest guy we know. Just start and we'll help you. So I started, and then they all left the business to get into real estate, those bastards. And then, so I struggled for a long time on my own, by the way. And, that's what, 15 years in the jungle until Adam Egget. So everyone, when Tommy got fired for whatever he got fired for, Adam was the new talent coordinator, and everyone was going up to him, even certain canceled comics. I don't even want to say their names. See, this is what's wrong with comedy. I want to say names, but I can't.
You can say names.
Well, I mean, a prime D'Elia, like king of the mountain. I don't mean Bill D'Elia, Tony D'Elia, or Carl D'Elia. I mean D'Elia. He's like on that Fabio level of fame where you don't even say his first name. It's just D'Elia. Everyone knows. He says to Adam, "You got to pass Earl. He's been up here forever. I started with him. He's like the greatest guy or whatever. He's funny enough to be passed." That's not really a compliment. Yeah, he's funny enough.
Yeah.
And Adam comes up to me and says, "Dude, everyone's coming up to me saying I got to pass you. And just because you're my good friend, I'm not going to just pass you. You got to audition and make it on your own." So the night I auditioned, you had every comic in the city here. Like, it was one of the few times you'll see comic love. Just so you guys know, I've lost Batman. Jesus Christ, where's Batman? I have lost Batman. Here he is. He went to the other side. So this is what I've done so far in 45 minutes. But I rarely kill. Usually I do well. But that night, it was a perfect 6-minute showcase set. Like, the first joke did okay, second joke did better, third joke. And then, I told my N-word Sons of Anarchy joke as the closer. And, every comic in the city was there rooting for me. Even Hinchcliffe was rooting for me that night. And so that's how I got in at the Comedy Store. And after seeing Brody Stevens make someone cry in 2000, I was like, I don't think I'm ready for this place.
So you and D'Elia were close?
We were comedy friends. I mean, we never went out.
So is it weird, like, when something like that happens to him and he goes through all of that? Are you one of those people who will be able to be like, hit him up and just be like, "Hey, listen,
I mean,
hang in there," or is it one of those things where it's like, I'm still looking to keep my...
I mean, it's tough because during the pandemic, I'll be honest, we spoke a few times, I guess in DM form.
Yeah.
And, but then, it just got to the point for me where I'm like, bro, I don't even think I said anything. I just stopped contacting with them just because, if I'm going to be hard on other people, and of course, I think with terms of allegations, whatever they may be with someone, their side should be heard too. But like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And
yeah.
So it's tough. And I know a lot of his friends felt the same way, where you're like, dude, I'd love to support you, but there's a lot of, evidence or whatever.
Everybody told me, if you want to learn about the Comedy Store and you want to understand all of Rick Ingram's jokes when he does the Comedy Store podcast, listen to Tommy, the old booker, on Inappropriate Earl. And I did. And you were not easy on him. You had a legitimate conversation with him.
Well, I think people thought I was just going to rip on him from not passing me. Why don't you pass me, man? I'm funny. And that would not have been a good episode.
Yeah.
But I let him hang himself. Like
You did. You sure did.
I set him up with a question and let him say his bullshit. And, speaking of D'Elia, now, once again, this is prime D'Elia, no allegations, no anything, comes up to me and goes, bro, I don't listen to anyone's podcast. That was amazing. I would put that, and it's episode 93. I did do a second follow-up. He was so eager to talk to anyone that I said after the end of the episode, hey, if you want to come back anytime, I'm thinking a couple months, maybe a year. He calls me up the next day. Hey, what are you doing right now? I'm like, oh, nothing. He's like, can I come back? Like, yeah, when do you want to come back? How about an hour? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. So the second episode, which I believe is 95, it's kind of like Rocky 2. It's good, but there's a lot of repeat lines. That should be required viewing for anyone in LA comedy.
Yeah, when I listened, it made me understand this place a lot better than...
Because it's the insight
into
his insanity. I'm now trying to put pieces together by color, so I figure we'll at least have to kind of go together. And to his, this was the man in charge for 10 plus years.
Was it that long?
Yeah, he was here for a while. You'd probably have to ask Rick exactly how long.
Fuck. Because the one thing I kept hearing about him was he just kept asking people to hang.
That's what he told me.
He just like, yeah, you have to hang. If you want to be passed, you have to hang. If you want to do this, you have to hang. And I'm just like, sounds like he just didn't want to be alone. Sounds like he just wanted people hanging out with him. It's
like, bro, I want to do stand-up. I hang. What is that? Like, what are you talking about? I think I might be onto something here.
What was the worst advice you've ever been given?
By Tommy or?
Anybody. In the industry, just any advice.
Oh, I would say after I beat Jimmy Carr in Roast Battle, he only plays venues the killers play.
Yeah.
But I wasn't good enough for the next 2 seasons. 4-1 on TV, beat 2 champions, beat the current Canadian champ. But yeah, that's not good television. A Comedy Central executive told me, he said, yeah, we really want to work with you, man. We've never heard of you before. Do you have an idea for a special? And the special I'm working on right now, I want to do it in front of a bunch of drunks at 2 a.m, because that's when I go up. And I'm like, just think that people would stop and watch, and hopefully they stay because they like the material. And the guy looks at me and goes, yeah, that's not going to work. Oh, and like the last 50 specials that network's pumped out I have, name one. You can't. You got to do what Tiana did and what you guys did. Put it on YouTube your own self.
Yeah.
And people talk about that special much more than any special that's been on Netflix or Comedy Central.
No, because it gets a bigger audience just because it's free and available.
And it's Tiana and her, like you could tell she had a hand in, I want the background to look like this, and I want, the lighting to be like this. And so you get the truest version of Tiana that you can get. Like,
well, that's the perk and the downside of not having a director. Like, we were shooting things without directors because it's a fucking stand-up special. What do you need? You don't need fucking Michael Bay directing a stand-up special. Like, you need someone with a vision, and hopefully that's the comic. So we made it very easy, and that's why her special, it just happened to look so great. It's because she had a vision, and she expressed it, and we got it done for her. Where everybody else, I'm hearing some of these budgets for specials. I'm like, who the fuck is paying this?
You wouldn't believe this. When I started fishing around for budgets for my special, so-and-so on Comedy Central costs $1 million. And it's like, what? Like, that's insane. And I'm like, Pete and O'Neill, how much 3 camera guys cost? And even that was like 10 grand. Like, if you hire like people who know what they're doing. We just shot the opening, which I can't just say this. If you're a fan of the movie Cobra, you get it.
I cannot wait to see what you guys
I'm
shot.
telling you. It cost me $1,800. Just this. I'm paying for. I'm not doing a GoFundMe or any of that stuff. I'm paying for it out of my own pocket, which is why it's taking so long because I'm Jewish. And I mean, it's if you do it right, it's not cheap. You know, if you hire competent people, set designers, and that even the set design, I paid $600 for my the signage that will be behind me in the special.
That's wild.
I mean, because it's a neon sign that had to be custom made. And it wasn't my friend in the back of his garage.
But you're also not shooting a standard special. I would say we have to note that, like, if you're shooting a standard special of just you on stage doing material,
right?
That's completely different than what you're doing.
It is a, I guess you would say, part special, part documentary.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, we got some greenies here. I think part of the allure of this is, Earl, you've been doing comedy 1,000 years. Why don't you have a special out? So the first part is really a documentary on. It's like if you've ever seen the documentary on the band Anvil.
Yeah.
It's like they were around forever. No one had ever heard of them. Metallica cites them as an influence. Like, who are these guys? So they do a documentary and they blew up. I'm doing a documentary and a special. So, that's, I don't know what the question was. What was
the worst advice you've ever gotten?
So, yeah, basically, an unordinary special would not work. It just has to be a basic special. And it's like, I just showed you, like, if you look at Roast Battle, I was probably the worst joke writer of the 16 contestants. But I did it in my own way, and I was probably the best one, in terms of who people remember.
Yeah.
All I want to do is a special that people remember. Like Bo Burnham's special, his last special. And I'm not on his level as a comic. But my ex-girlfriend said, you got to watch this. It's not your style, but... And I was hooked on it. He's doing a special in his fucking house. Just going from room to room, singing a song, doing a bit. And like, I want something like this. So... hopefully, so the worst, other than that, worst advice, hey, you should keep doing Roast Battle. That's probably right up there, It's a great show, but like, you reach a critical mass with what it can do for you. So.
Well, I look at the Roast Battle comics and I'm like, these people will probably peak at Roast Battle.
Well, some of them are great writers.
But there are a few of that. There are a few of them that'll be great writers of stand-up material, but most of them can just be good writers of like insults.
I think the problem for a lot of people who come from that world, and it's not just Roast Battle, it's other roasting shows. Like Kill Tony is a great show, but like it teaches young comics insult humor is the way to go. And, if you're on stage and you're bombing the first few minutes, the last thing the crowd wants is for you to insult them. Like, you have to win them over first.
Yeah.
So I think that's the problem a lot of roast comics get into, is they don't have a plan B if the jokes don't work.
Do you prefer stand-up the way it is now, where social media plays a big part of it? Or do you think that it's sort of softened the industry?
Well, I mean, since I'm 54, I grew up in an era of, I want to be funny.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Earl's a great joke writer. Earl's a great stage performer. Not, Earl has 6,000 followers on Instagram. This guy has 100,000. They're funnier. But I don't hate on, say, someone like Matt Rife, who a lot of people seem to hate. He's found an audience. He's found a way to market to that audience. I'm a fan. Like, to be honest, like... I found his genius when I haven't seen him do comedy enough to go, he's good or bad. That's me just being honest. I don't watch comedy. I want to do it. I don't want to watch someone else do it. I don't imagine Tom Brady watches football. He wants to do it. Or maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe he's tired after supermodel. He needs to take a rest.
Fair enough.
But I walked in on Matt in the main room. He sold out 2 shows on a Wednesday night, which is, the main room's a big room. What is it, about 400 people if it's high tide?
Like 350.
Okay. 350, let's say 350. To sell out 2 shows, 2 different audiences, That's impressive. And I walked in on him, and I think he had forgotten a line or he'd forgotten where he was going. He's like,
Yeah.
I think I'll just take my shirt off. And the crowd erupted like the Beatles were in the room.
I saw that too.
But I mean, I was like, hey, that's what we all want. If I got to get naked on stage, I'll do it if the crowd's tough. And so I am not doing well at this, to be honest. I really should. I'm just going to start freestyling here.
We're winding down. Last question.
This is embarrassing.
No, it looks great.
No, it's horrible. This is me being honest.
You're going to take it home and finish it.
Oh, no, I'm not taking it. I'm just going to throw it in the trash when the camera's cut.
Last question. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Oh boy, let me see. I would say playing the game a little. It's a double-edged sword because in this game you have to be an ass kisser. You just have to be. And I'm starting to realize that 23 years into comedy, I got to play the game a little bit, and I got to show up to this event and kiss the ring but I just can't. I just want to be funny, man.
Yeah.
I just want people to go, Earl should be on this show because, like if Jeselnik ran comedy, the world would be better for me because he'd be like, Earl, you're funny. You should get this role.
Yeah.
Done. You take someone we're doing a crowd work. We're doing an audience, a talk show. Rick Ingram or Ian Bagg should get the hosting part because they're the best at crowd work. End of story. Not, well, this person has more followers than Rick or Ian. So, bam. I don't think, at the end of the day, funny should be what matters, not how many followers you have.
Yeah.
I did a show recently. I'll say it. This is me keeping it real, knowing that stand-up Batman would not say this. I did a show at the Ice House recently. The newly revamped Ice House. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what's with the armed security guards wandering around the place, but it's not my world. I just, got asked to do a show, and I was on the bottom half of the flyer, and I have no ego, by the way, in this business. I don't. I get where my place is in the hierarchy of stand-up comedy, but this goes to show you the current status of stand-up comedy, and I invited one of the biggest talent managers in the world. I can't say who she is because I know you clowns will DM her on Instagram. Hey, Earl said I should send you my reel. Trust me. Woo. Zhao Ying Summers, the queen of comedy. That made me want to blow my brains out. See, stand-up Batman would not say that name on a live podcast. He'd be like, oh, that girl who got the tattooed queen of comedy put on their arm. I mean, listen, I'm as delusional as anyone on earth, but my delusion's based in reality. But I was on the lower half of the flyer. Okay, that's fine. I was with the open micers on the flyer, and the whole top half of the flyer was comics who I've never seen do well, but they all had one thing in common: at least 100,000 followers on Instagram.
Oof.
Now, this big manager, not only does she come, but she brings her friends, and this manager is kind of like Russell Peters. Russell Peters doesn't hang out with the gardener. Everyone he hangs with is successful in their business. You go to a party at Russell's house, it's awesome. You got rappers, platinum selling record guy here. You got comics, biggest comics, Bert's over there. I'm probably the least successful person at any Russell Peters function. NBA players over there. It's like a prison yard. It's still a little segregated, but it's all good. So she brings her friends. Now her friends are all Academy Award winning this, Oscar winning this. So the show ends. They call me the next day. Earl, you can never be on a show like that again. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you were the only good one on it. It's an embarrassing look for you to be on that show. So, but I guarantee you, here's the whole point of that story. Every person who bombed at that show will be on another show there before me. It's just the way it works.
Well, thank you for doing this. You're the best.
This is embarrassing. Can we get
let's see how fun. Let's
horrible.
See hold it up. Let's see.
I can't. This is what I got. I got this.
Okay. And then you have a bunch
I
of
go, what? No, I got this. I'm horrible at puzzles. And you know,
Where can they find you? Obviously not a Lego store, but
at Stand Up Batman on Twitter. And no, I'm just kidding. Here's the greatest thing about me in social media. I don't do it right, but I'm at EARL SKAKEL everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon. I have 13 subscribers on Patreon. 13. I make $100 a month. But you know what? I don't need it because I'm already rich. So all you hoofers, it's a tough business, man. Harrison Ford's 80 years old. He's still hoofing it, making movies. But I just bought a $300 Stallone Cobra action figure. So I don't need any of this.
oh Jesus Christ!
Nothing.
All right, well that is a good waste of $300, I'd say.
No, dude, I'm telling you, and someone, when I posted that I got it, my friend Jordan, who got me, can I plug, this is me.
Yeah.
Can I plug someone else?
Go for it.
My friend Jordan Lee, who did the makeup for my Ultimate Warrior at the Iron Sheik roast, he has an amazing blog called Daze, D-A-Z-E, with Jordan. It's like should be beneficial to you guys. Jordan was an actor who was struggling out here, didn't have a lot going on. Starts his own travel vlog where he goes to like the Ultimate Warrior's grave and he does like a half-hour video about it. He now has like 500,000 followers on YouTube, makes a ton of money doing what he does. Goes to wrestling conventions. And he says, Earl, I got you something that is the greatest gift I could ever give. And if you go on my YouTube channel, just EARL SKAKEL, you'll see the revealing. Jordan got Mark Henry to sign a hand. He like went to a model store and got a hand and had Mark Henry sign it. Earl, I am not the father. Remember the Mae Young thing?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And like, even Mark Henry was like, this is a great gift for whoever you're doing this for.
That's for all you wrestling fans out there. You'll get it.
For all you wrestling fans and for you non-wrestling fans, I know we got to wrap it up because we got another guest and most people would run the light and be rude to the previous or the guest that's coming in. Mark Henry was in a sketch where he was having sex with an 85-year-old woman. And when they did the birthing on live TV, they pulled out not a baby, but a hand.
Writing at its finest.
So Jordan got Mark Henry to sign a hand. I love Katie. She's a big thing. Can we say where she's going? Or
Shout out to Katie. Check out her podcast. Our producer Katie. She's going to be. It's Katie Afraidy. It's going to be on the Fangoria podcast.
That's a big deal, and she's a very funny comic. And Sosa is a guy who, you know, at first I was a little on edge with him. I don't know about because I'm so used to getting fucked over in this business. This business is out of control. Brothers turn on brothers. Fathers turn on sons. He's a good guy. I don't know where he's going in life in terms of after. Have you said where you're going?
I haven't. We'll talk separately.
Until then, I must bid you adieu. Good night. Good luck. And bang!
Okay. Follow me at Saying Sosis on Instagram and Building Friendships Building Friendships series. Thank you, guys. See you next time.